I asked you about your USB interfaces and using Audacity, and you replied on today's School of Podcasting's Morning Announcements, episode number 129.
It's the School of Podcasting's Morning Announcements. Here's Dave Jackson.
All right, welcome aboard. This is where we do talk about all things podcasting. I'm your personal podcast coach, Dave Jackson. Our website, schoolofpodcasting.com. You can email me, dave@schoolofpodcasting.com. You can call in your comments, just like Jay Jennings did, 888-563-3228. Or if you are from across the pond, that number is 234-542-0893. If I said that too fast, you can just rewind it. It's a podcast. How cool is that? On the show today, we're just going to hop right into it. I asked last week about, the fact that back in the day, it seemed like Audacity was a little flaky. Audacity is a free software package that you can use to record your podcast. And we talked about USB interfaces. And so I asked the question, are you using a USB mic? Are you using Audacity? Any comments on using either Audacity or a USB interface? And have you ever lost a show due to Audacity? Because it seems like it's a little more stable. I know a lot of people use it. Well, we had a whopping 9 people respond. Thank you to the 9 people. You'll be getting some free advertisements today. And out of those, I'm sorry, did I say 9? Look at me getting all overzealous. 8. We had 8 people reply. And 6 of them are using a USB interface. And 7 of them are using Audacity. So Audacity is a very popular thing, and apparently using a USB interface. So we're going to start off. I'm just going to read these. Joe, yeah. We're just going to call him Joe. Mike Mikowski. We'll go with that, Joe. How's that? I'm sure I just butchered your name. I'm sorry. He's from onthepodcast.net. Onthepodcast.net. Better known as the On The Podcast show. This is my main product. I can't read today. This is my main podcast where I talk about a media feature, which could be music, podcast, audiobook, then play a song, and that's it. Short, sweet, and to the point. I'm also starting a 1-minute comic at 1minutecomic.com, where I do a show every other week. You guessed it, 1 minute, and take a really quick look at whatever comic or graphic novel I've been reading. This one is still pretty new, and I'm still setting on my format. So, Joe, thank you very much. She says, are you using a USB interface? No. Are you using Audacity? Yes. His comments, I have a blue Snowball USB mic, and I like it very much, although I only use it in the field with my laptop. He's looking to get a Zoom H2 to be more portable. I found the mic to be kind of quiet, but once I installed the firmware update, it got improved. That improved its response. In my studio, I use a E-MU1212. It was designed for mobility and laptops, and it runs through a PC MCIA card. I installed the PC MCIA slot into my desktop and used it there, and it has worked flawlessly. Let's see. No, I've only had one Audacity crash, and it was totally my fault. I let the battery run out on my laptop while recording and lost the entire file. So, Joe, thank you very much. We'll go back down. Number 2, Anthony Elmore from the Diabetic in Candyland podcast at diabeticincandyland.com, a podcast devoted to hard luck stories and losing in general. So it's a feel-good kind of podcast. Also includes original comedy commercial spoofs. I may have to check this one out just based on that description. Are you using a USB interface? No. Are you using Audacity? Yes. Comments. I use M Audio Podcast Factory, which includes a condenser mic and a preamp, and I record to Audacity. The mic really compensates for my lack of acoustics, which consist of my Leave Britney Alone brown blanket and Yoda blanket tacked on my walls. Nice. Have you ever had Audacity crash? Yes, but I think it was my fault. I was editing a raw interview when I decided to export another project to MP3. Somehow this gacked up the interview edit file, and I had to start from scratch. Next up, Mike Wills from Mike's Hot Dish at mikeshotdish.com. It's a show that plays a lot of music and occasionally does an interview or other things. You never know what comes in a pot of Mike's Hot Dish. Are you using a USB interface? Yes. Are you using Audacity? No. I think many, he says, but not all USB interfaces are much quieter when it does the analog to digital conversion than your cheapo sound card, but it is a pain when you have it hooked up to your primary system. I finally have it set up so it only records from USB and plays from my primary sound card. Yeah, you can do that in your control panel. And that's a way I think I might start using here. Because my system is just noisy. I've noticed that. Warren Kelly from the Pewcast at its temporary home on Podomatic, pewpodcast.podomatic.com. Warren, GoDaddy.com. Use the coupon code COOLER3. Get yourself a domain name. He says, I used to have my own domain name, long story, and soon will again. Well, there you go. Bi-weekly right now, podcast featuring PodSafe Christian rock. All right, Warren, I take away my snarky remark. Are you using a USB interface? Yes. Are you using Audacity? Yes. It says, I'm using M Audio's Podcast Factory setup. The only problem I've had is getting the mic level up enough, though I think that was my own fault rather than the equipment. I don't really like the lack of instruction included in the kit, though it seems like this is geared towards beginning podcasters, but there wasn't much in the way of documentation included. The last time I lost a podcast due to Audacity crashing was more than a year ago. I learned to save frequently. I'm with you on that. That goes with any software you're using. But the latest build has proven to be very stable for me. All right, so thank you, Warren. Again, find him at pewpodcast.podomatic.com. Terry T. Says, a Quiet Time Podcast at quiettimepodcast.com. The Old Coot Cast at oldcootcast.com. The Quiet Time Podcast is a music podcast that is currently coming out 3 times a week that provides a blend of genres, with the exception of rap and punk. Each episode is about 30 minutes long, provides a lot of music and very little talk, hopefully just the right amount to help the listener take a relaxing break from the stress of life. The Old Coot Cast is a life podcast that is in the process of being born, I see. As an older 50-plus person, I have noticed that the majority of podcasters are in the 30 to 40 age range, so I'm going to try to give that audience a look at life from a senior perspective. Beautiful. Let me know when that comes about, the Old Coot Cut, because I'm in my 40s. I'm 43, so I'm closing in on 50. So, are you using a USB interface? Yes. Are you using Audacity? Yes. I'm currently using the MXL 990 USB microphone on my Mac Mini, and I'm very happy with the sound and ease of use of it. I had previously tried the microphone out on my PC laptop, but didn't like the quality of the recording that it provided. On my desktop PC, I use an Alesis Multimix 8 USB mixer, but discontinued the USB interface due to a loud hum that starts after about 1 hour of use. I like the mixer itself. The multiple microphone inputs, along with the onboard effects, are a real plus. Another plus that this mixer has is the on-off switch for both the machine and the phantom power. Amen to that. I use an MXL 909 as the primary microphone for the mixer. By the way, thanks for the tip on episode number 120 on the mic arm boom. I purchased the $39 model off eBay and really like the way it keeps the microphone out of the way, but still handy. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So again, there's that another person I know of that uses that multi-mix USB mixer from Alesis, and not super happy with it. As for Audacity, all I can say is that I love it. I use it on both my PCs, laptop and desktop, along with on the Mac Mini. The ease of use is a big plus, especially when I'm putting together my music podcast, a Quiet Time Podcast, when I can record my voiceover portions first, then insert the music tracks in the appropriate spots. I've tried both the 1.2.6 and the 1.3.4 versions, but I prefer the 1.2.6 version. Very interesting. All right. Thank you very much, Terry. Larry Bushi. Going Linux is a podcast for computer users who want to use Linux and Linux applications to get things done. You can find us at goinglinux.com. Our MP3 feed is on iTunes, and at Going Linux, well, it's at their website. Our OGG feed is at etc., etc., etc. So pretty much go to goinglinux.com. I'm assuming he should have a link to those out at the website. Do you use a USB interface? Yes. Are you using Audacity? Yes. His comments: I'm using a mixer with a USB interface. I'm using this to record my podcast primarily because the sound card on my laptops is not good. The USB mixer gives me no noise, full control over levels, and makes life wonderful. Let me know what model that is. Audacity has improved a lot. 2 years ago, I lost an hour's worth of recording when Audacity crashed just as I finished recording and was clicking save. It offered to recover, but what it actually could never be confused with an actual recovery. So basically it didn't work. These days, Audacity is reliable and continues to be my main recording software. Even the recovery function works these days. It's been a long time since Audacity woo-fooed me. All right, beautiful. Thank you very much, Larry. Sally Getch rhymes with sketch. Yes, Sally Getch is at the Podcast Asylum. And you can go to podcastasylum.com/reports. Are you using a USB interface? Yes, she is. And she's using Audacity. She says, just got a USB interface, the UA200, along with the Behringer podcasting kit. I'm still trying to make it work. Think I've got the drivers nailed. Now I need to learn to use an ASIO compatible recording program. At least they gave me a free one. Expect a review on the whole kit at the Asylum site soon. Very cool. I will be looking at that. Of course, that is, again, at Podcast Asylum. Sally is the one in the white coat. Very cool. I've met her at both expos. She's a great person. Check her out. Podcast is a very funny site, by the way. Very, very entertaining. I've been using... Okay, try that again. I've been using Audacity for years and can't remember having it crash on me at all. I suppose it might have once or twice, but at a never really critical moment. I mostly use it to edit rather than to record. Anyway, I record Skype with Skylook and otherwise generally use my iRiver. Just got some adapters so I can connect the mixer to the latter. So Skylook. I've heard of this, have not seen it yet, but it seems to be a name that's popping up. Last but not least, Daryl Cognito from Suburbia, I guess. If you go to poddog.ca/Suburbia, he is also using a USB interface. He is not using Audacity, and here's what he says. I use an Alesis mixer with an EV Cardinal and GarageBand. Love it most of the time, but lately I've had some problems. Have you ever had a podcast due to well, obviously he's not using Audacity. He says no, but after more than 150 podcasts, GarageBand crashed for the first time, taking an entire show with it. Yeah, GarageBand I've also heard. I think all software, I mean, isn't that kind of the nature of the beast? So, and then we have one phone-in person with his input on Audacity and USB interfaces, etc. It's Jay Jennings from jjennings.com.
Hey, Dave, this is Jay Jennings. I'm having a hard time hearing you, so I hope you can hear me okay on this. I'm driving from Wasilla, Alaska, into Anchorage, Alaska. It's early morning, and I'm listening to one of your podcasts, and I don't actually know how old it is. I can't really see it. So this may be something that you've already talked about and rehashed and gone on to new things. But you were talking about the USB hub and Audacity, things like that, which is a very interesting subject for me because I'm really unhappy with the setup that I have right now. I have a Digit Design M-Box with my with an Audio Technica 3035 or something like that hooked up to it. I really like the mic. The mic's really good, and normally I like the setup, although it is overkill. I mean, I can hook my broadcast host into it, but I'm tending to do more stuff with Skype and conference call recording and stuff like that, so I'm not using the broadcast host hardly at all. I don't ever have two people hooked up, so I really don't need the two inputs on the M-Box. But the worst thing about it is that it works with Pro Tools LE, which I have, but I don't like Pro Tools. It's overkill. I'm not an audio engineer. I just want to record some stuff. So I tend to use Audacity. And the problem with using the M-Box is that I'm, with things like Audacity, is that I'm reliant on the Digit Design Core Audio Manager, and that typically lags by a few months when OS updates come along. So when I updated to OS 10.5.2, it seemed like everything stopped working except Audacity. I can still record Audacity, but I can't. None of my screen recorders will recognize the microphone, and including Parallels. Parallels no longer recognizes the M-Box, and all it recognizes, but no audio comes out. And so I can't use Camtasia or anything like that. So I'm in the middle of looking at USB microphones. The local Mac store has a Snowball. It seems silly that I would buy a Snowball and talk into it, but I've heard good things about it, so I'm really looking forward to getting more feedback from your listeners on if that's a deal or not. So that's it with the USB thing. I don't use USB, but I'm looking to move into that. So I'm interested in seeing what happens there. Second thing is Audacity. I don't have an Audacity moment. It's worked well for me. I use it quite often. It's the kind of thing that I am paranoid. Any time I use it to record a conference, teleseminar, something like that I'm doing, where I have to have something afterwards because I'm going to be selling it to people or something like that. It really does make me paranoid, and if at all possible, I try and double up on my recordings. I record it locally, and I have, for example, a conference call to the line and do the conference call recording on that. So even if it's a bad recording, I would still end up with a recording. Or if I know that one of my friends with gear is going to be on the call, get them to actually start their recording. So a lot of times I'll double and triple up just to make sure that nothing bad happens. So that's it. Thanks for the great podcast. See you later.
See you, Jay. Thank you very much. Of course, Jay, you may have heard me talk about Jay in the past. Jay is the man behind Cloak and Tracker. That's the software I was talking about back on the previous show, back on February 24th, when I was talking about sponsorship versus premium content. And Jay's a software developer and an entrepreneur and a marketing guy. And if you go to jjennings.com, you can see everything he's doing. I'll have a link to Cloak and Tracker out there. But Jay's the kind of guy, I bought a couple of his products. He's the guy behind Sonic Memo, which is a way to put audio on your website. And pretty much always affordable and always works great. So there you go, Jay. Free plug, free commercial for Jay for calling in. Hey, that's really going to do it for this. First of all, thanks to everybody who went to the site and filled out the survey. I feel comfortable now saying that Audacity is really no less stable than any other program. I mean, I think I've used everything that eventually will gack out on you because, you have too many programs open or whatever's going on, or you try to do a zig when you should have zagged. I mean, that is kind of just the nature of software. Next week, both authors, Richard Harrington and Mark Weiser, of the new book, just came out this week, Producing Video Podcasts, and very interesting book. I've just got it, haven't had a chance to read all the way through it. Tons of information where they interview other video podcasters, kind of get their tips and tricks, as well as they have a huge amount of experience. They're the guys behind Red Pixel, where they have Microsoft. I think Google is one of their clients, things like that. So these are guys that are doing it professionally, and they show you how to do it professionally, but they also show you how you can go to Home Depot and make your own lighting kit, things of that nature. So that will be coming next week. That actually might be a 2-part series. The interesting thing was we had those guys come into our weekly roundtable that we have out at the School of Podcasting. So the people on the podcast and on the live call got to ask their questions as well. And so you'll hear some of that on the show next week. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And all the things that are mentioned here, like I'll have a link out to the snowball microphone. I've yet to find a person who didn't like that. The snowball microphone. I know a lot of people have said good things about the Samson CO1 USB microphone. And so anything you just heard about, I'll have links out of the show notes. Of course, you can just go to shownotes.schoolofpodcasting.com. Our website is schoolofpodcasting.com. You can go out there and under free stuff, if you want some free podcasting tips, you can sign up for the newsletter. And don't forget about podcastclicks.com if you're looking for podcast promotion. The grand opening special is over, but it's still only $20 a year. And get your podcast some more exposure. So thank you very much for tuning in. And until next week, class dismissed.